you remember the story of Peter? Right after Jesus washed the disciples' feet, Jesus turns to Peter and he says one of the scariest phrases in all of Scripture. He says, "Simon, Simon, behold, Satan demanded to have you, that he might sift you like wheat." It's one of the scariest phrases in the Bible. "But I've prayed for you, Simon, that your faith will not fail. And when you have turned back, strengthen your brothers." "Lord," said Peter, "I'm ready to go with you, even to prison and to death." Okay, so see, Peter here has his right mind. He's in his right mind. He is currently fully grateful for the perfect Jesus. He's fully grateful for him and rightfully saying, "I don't care what happens, I will die for you. It is worth it because you're worth it." Gratitude intact. But Jesus replied, "I tell you, Peter, the rooster will not crow today until you have denied 3 times that you know me." So Jesus is arrested. They take him to Caiaphas' house to interrogate him and to do their best to sentence him to death. And the disciples, they follow closely behind. Some of them sneak through the gates. And while Jesus is being spit on and while he's being beaten, Peter is just outside, warming himself by a charcoal fire. Verse 69, meanwhile, Peter was sitting outside in the courtyard, and a servant girl came up to him and said, "You were one of those with Jesus the Galilean." Okay. Now, if Peter had his gratitude intact, this shouldn't bother him. He should be like, "Yep, that's me." But that's not what happened. Peter denied it in front of everyone. "I don't know what you're talking about," he said. Okay, what just happened to Peter? What happened to him? Something flipped. He got absolutely terrified. Maybe he's thinking, "I'm going to be killed." And the same thing, I want you to see this, the same thing that the devil did with Eve, he just did it here with Peter. He's not good enough. I can't trust him. There's abuse on the horizon. I should deny him. I can't follow him anymore, and I need to run to something else that will make me happier, my own control. Do you see that? Do you see the connection between the very first fall and this fall? What a tremendous height the original fall was, and what a tremendous height this one was. Verse 71. Later, out by the gate, another servant girl noticed him and said to those standing around, "This man was with Jesus of Nazareth." Again, Peter denied it, this time with an oath. "I don't even know the man," he said. A little later, some of the other bystanders came over to Peter and said, "You must be one of them. We can tell by your accent." Peter swore, "A curse on me if I'm lying. I don't know the man." And immediately a rooster crowed. Most regrettable moment of Peter's life, maybe the most regrettable moment of any human life. Jesus looked straight at his soul, and the words flashed through Peter's mind, "Before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times that you even know me." And he went away weeping bitterly. In many ways, this is absolutely a rerun of the garden. Peter lost his grip on God. He lost his grip on perfection. In the garden, it was perfect, but with Jesus, with Peter, he had the perfect Jesus right there. In the garden, they got to walk with God. Peter got to walk with God. Peter was so blessed. I know all of us would have loved to have been him, spending every day for 3 years face to face with God himself, being discipled and loved by him, human to human. I bet maybe this is a true statement, that that's the most unfulfilled desire of everybody in this room. But Peter got that. Peter got to be the one to make the great confession, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." Peter was the one that stepped out of the boat and walked on water with Jesus. Peter had a blessing that the rest of us will never have. What a gift. And the devil got him to question that perfection. He got him to deny perfection for the sake of momentary control. He got him with ingratitude. He lost sight of the goodness and sovereignty of God and poured suffering over his own head. And what suffering that ingratitude caused. It's crazy to me that Peter didn't go commit suicide when he went away and wept bitterly. What a massive regret. I'm guessing the only reason he didn't was because of God sustaining him and because Jesus prayed for him. Can you imagine how Simon must have felt the next day when Jesus was crucified? The last interaction he had with Jesus was his eyes to his, recognizing, I just denied you 3 times. That's the last thing that you saw from me, and then you're crucified. After 3 years, you make the biggest failure of your life. How Peter didn't commit suicide, I don't know. Especially while Jesus was in the grave. Simon, Simon, Satan has demanded to have you, to sift you as wheat. That is a serious sifting. And when you and I are sifted, every time it's a gratitude check.